After weeks of training, Chris joined some of the nation's top prospects in the East-West Shrine Game and the Senior Bowl. Now, by the end of a player's senior football season, NFL scouts and coaches have already done some research.
Today, divers will try again to recover bodies and debris after a mid-air collision over the Hudson River. Crews raised the helicopter yesterday before a storm moved in. Economy in a recession and unemployment on the rise, shopping resale has never seemed more popular. Not only can you go green by wearing recycled clothes from consignment stores, but you can also make a little green for yourself. Now, military has been using websites like Twitter and YouTube to monitor and react to coverage of high-profile events. UT graduate student Michael Tucker was the victim of a recent breaking and entering crime at his apartment.
My roommate woke me up because there was somebody in the house, but he broke in through our sliding glass door, which is on it's on a balcony, so it's very accessible. And then walked back in here and stood over my roommate while he was sleeping.
Michael lives in the Fort Sanders area. This area adjacent to campus is where a large portion of UT students live. It is also where a majority of crimes involving students are committed. Knoxville Police Department's Captain David Roush says KPD pays special attention to preventing crime in this area.
I have two officers that's the only beat they run, and it's a very confined area. One of the things folks don't understand is it's our most highly densely populated areas in our city. We have criminal element come in from the outside because of the opportunity for crime.
KPD has been working closely with the University of Tennessee's police department to raise awareness among students. Despite the increased efforts of both the KPD and UTPD, crimes are still being committed. Many players will move after their football season to work at specialized training facilities. Tony Villani owns XPE Sports in Delray Beach, Florida, where he trains athletes preparing for the combine.
What I normally do is I try to pick about 10 to 12 guys that I've heard of or that I know athletes that know them, and Dan was one of them.
Actually, I met Tony like 2 years ago when he trained Gerard Mayo. And I mean, I saw Gerard at our pro day, and I was very impressed. So I was like, I need to work with that man.
Before the training begins, Dan and Tony have to set goals that he can realistically achieve in 2 months.
With Dan, our goal is honestly to be one of the biggest defensive tackles. Most tackles are trying to weigh 300. We want him to be 325. So what Dan's preparing for now is he's got to be a 320 to 25 pound guy, but now can sprint 40 yards like a 180-pound guy. So that's not what his body's used to. So we want him to be bigger than all the other guys, and we don't want those guys to beat him at anything. And that's hard to do. So now we're really training Dan for speed and agility and not for football.
Dan was joined in Florida by 4 other former Vols, including Eric Berry, Vladimir Richards, and Rico McCoy. Tony's now training 21 athletes for this upcoming draft. Tony says Dan's work ethic and demeanor set him apart from his other competitors.
He is a mean football player, but I mean, he's a very, I don't want to say mild-mannered, maybe polite when he's training. I train a lot of ultimate fighters, and the guys that are your baddest guys in the world are normally your nicest because they're not scared of anybody. And that's how I kind of equate Dan to. He doesn't have to scream loud when he's lifting weights or try to draw attention to himself. He's one of the baddest guys in the room, so he just keeps to himself and does his work.
Dan realizes the importance his combine training can have on his future and is determined to put in the effort needed to succeed.
If I continue to work hard every day and just keep myself motivated and just keep my head straight, I know 8 weeks will be enough. Keep what my goal is in mind. Trying to be the highest pick possible. So I know I had to put in a lot of hard work, and every time you wake up, make sure you work hard every day. I mean, I always try to make myself better each and every day.
It takes more than love to care for a pet. It takes money, and lots of it. UT student Jennifer Harbour says she was not fully prepared for how much owning her dog Daisy would cost her.
It's a lot more expensive than I had planned on. I'm having to separate money to pay for all her medicines and make sure I have her food stocked up.
Jennifer spends about $20 a month on food and much more on veterinary care. As the American economy continues to spiral, pet owners confronted with financial troubles are facing terrible choices. Tim Adams is the executive director of the Young Williams Animal Shelter in Knoxville. He says his shelter provides assistance to pet owners.
Get more and more the comment that I can't afford the dog, or I've lost my house and I move into an apartment where they won't let me keep them. If it's just a matter of food, we have an animal food pantry that we've begun, and so if people say I can't afford to feed the dog, we say, well, keep the dog. We'd rather not have it here. Here's 20 pounds of food.
Right now in the spring and summer months are puppy season, and usually when animal shelters have the most adoptions. Adams hopes this will continue to be the case despite the recession. Well, thanks so much for joining me for this Morning Express update. I'm Amber Greaves.